If any of you here would say I didn't do the right thing to save the life of a colleague, then may God visit you with a heart problem. I said,
may God visit you.
Of course, I said, because it was now I was desperate at that point. The president, I told him, I said, in Yoruba language, I said, Baba, in term fa you go down, teba fagburu, buru afagbo, and that's why any language you want to teach me now, it won't take me 1 month. I will be an expert in.
How many do you speak?
I speak Russian language, I speak French, I speak Yoruba, I speak Igbo. German language, yes, I speak a bit of German.
Really?
Well, after the war, yes, fine, things started happening because the Gawan said there was no victor, no vanquished. But indeed, there was victor and there was vanquished. You see, when you now drum, when you beat the drum for too long, the drum will tell you the skin that it's made of. So that's why we are Igbos. But it's because of the way we are being treated, in this country.
Welcome to Untold Stories with Adesuwa. I'm here with Chief Adolphus Wabara, former senator, former Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from 2003 to 2005, I believe. Also, the current chairman of the Board of Trustees of the PDP. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me. I had said to your son, actually, that I needed to speak with you, but it was particularly after I was rewatching a speech you gave in the Senate, my people, oh my people. The speech you gave on the 16th of May, I believe it was, 2006, and it was the last speech that the Senate took before they voted against the third term constitutional amendment.
Yeah, thanks to the then Senate President Ken Namani.
Yes, thanks to the Senate President. Did you, at that point when you gave the speech, did you think that the constitutional amendment was going to fail?
Yes, I knew at that point, although I was not indeed in any faction, whether for or against, but then I was more on the side of those who scuttle the third term, and the likes of Senator Chukwumerije, Senator Ben Obi, where they were holding their meetings was just, right opposite my house, at Akpo. So after their meetings, distinguished Senator Ben Obi, no wonder he's been, respected and called the Ojelibu. Uzi, he's the one that carries the news to me to what they did. So, but I relied more on my people, and I had to deliver that speech. That I didn't know it was going to be that infamous speech. I delivered that speech, and so my people guided me, and I was the last person to speak, thanks to Senator Namani, because it was Senator David Mark, if you trace, since you are into journalism. It was David Mark who was to speak last, But but I did a note to him, to the Senate President, Namani, that please, he should allow me in the spirit of, esprit de corps, that he should allow me speak last. And he obliged me. He didn't know what I was going to say.
Mr. President, having said this, I thank you for your patience and understanding. As a result of all this, or in the light of the aforementioned, as we used to say in the civil service, my people, oh, my people. People have asked me to vote no on tenure extension. And because I am here to give a voice to their wishes, I have to go back home. That is my last bus stop. That is where I'll be buried. I will not be buried in Lagos or Abuja. You know, I have no choice but to vote no when you call for the votes. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I did that, and we thank God that we didn't have a third term.
We thank God. It's recently been Democracy Day. We've celebrated Democracy Day. Have you? This is nearly 20 years on from you giving that speech. Looking back, did you think Nigeria would be where it is today?
Yes, in so much as the third term agenda was not allowed to pass. Now that you just mentioned it, yesterday was Democracy Day. I mean, we don't even know which day, the 29th, when we were there. Today is 12th. But yeah. I want to wish Nigerians, a very good and healthy Democracy Day. We should be very patient. Democracy is a process. It's a process, and it's a process that will come and go. Mm-hmm. So I want to wish Nigerians, I know we're all suffering. We're all suffering, stomach infrastructure and things like that.
And possibly empty stomachs.
Definitely empty stomach. But I hope that since our president double-led, according to him, for democracy, I pray that he will listen and hearken to the voice of the empty stomach, Nigerians, including myself, so that...
I didn't know that your stomach is empty, sir. You're very lovely home today. I don't believe your stomach is empty. But you said something interesting. You said that Senator Namani allowed you speak last. Yes. And that it was supposed to be Senator David Mark who wanted to. But I want to know what your relationship was like with Senator David Mark, because I believe, were you in Mexico Christmas Day when there was like a scandal, and it was said that Senator David Mark and about 85 led some senators to try and remove you as Senate President back in 2005. Is that...
Yeah, we should not forget that Senator David Mark, my very good friend, we're all age mates, he was a military guy, and they were very conversant with coups, and they knew how to plan coups ahead of we civilians, So he really had 85 signatories of the senators, and I was in Mexico, and they were to send me off through impeachment. I didn't have any. When I was Senate President, I selected or elected or appointed Senator David Mark, into a very, good committee.
Juicy committee.
I don't want to use the word juicy. All the committees in the Senate, are juicy and are good, but this was a befitting committee.
What committee was that?
I don't want to mention it, but if I mention it, everybody will be calling for that committee. So let's leave it at that. He knows, So, but then he now organized. They were all military guys, ex-military guys. Obasanjo was one of them. So IBB was there, remoting from, So
how did you feel in Mexico? You were the parliamentary.
I had to curtail my visit, and I came back that night. And I came back and went straight into a meeting. Chief Tony Aneni was there. They were all for me to go. They were all for me to go. Body George, they were all there. They were all for me to go. But I did. Since I was born, when I was born, I didn't know I was going to be a Senate President. So, and I didn't really care. But I said, let me just explain myself. Let me explain myself, So they accused me. That was when this corruption issue started. This guy did that.
Including 55 million naira, I believe.
Including Ato. This was even before the 55 million naira stuff, Then I came up and started talking about that embezzled the Senate funds or stuff like that. And these were funds allocated. I didn't have anything to do with the allocation of funds, to the office of the Senate President. They allocated the funds, and I now expended the funds, as to the best of my judgment, and I stand today to be proud that I did that. Then the likes of the late Aton Zeribe, Aton Zeribe, who was a beneficiary, came. He was a signatory, to David Mark's 85. So they now came out. Then I came back. I said, well, before you crucify me, let me hear from me. Then I asked, I came back that night and I asked the accounts department, can you bring the list of how this money was, disbursed? They brought the money account, The late Fidelis Okoro, had heart attack. Had heart problems, and he got about 8 million, if I remember. I gave him it. Then I said, if any of you here will say I didn't do the right thing to save the life of a colleague, then may God visit you with a heart problem. I said,
may God visit you.
Of course, I said, because it was now I was desperate at that point, but I knew, politics. We were there till about 2:00 in the morning. It was then they were convinced, and I think even the president, I told him, I said, in Yoruba language, I said, Baba, in term fa you kodao, teba fagburu, buru afagbo, buru being if you pull cassava, cassava will pull the bush. So don't go because he had convinced him.
You speak Yoruba very well.
I'm a Yoruba man.
Really?
I'm a Yoruba man,
But where were you born?
I was born in Port Harcourt.
Okay. So when did you start learning Yoruba?
As soon as I was born, my father was a railway locomotive driver of the railways. So as soon as I was born in Port Harcourt, he was transferred. Then I was just a toddler, transferred to Lagos. So we remained in Lagos. I went to primary school in Lagos, Ladelac Institute. I started with Elizabeth Fowler in Wakeman Street. And Ladelac Institute in Akiwumi Street in Yaba. Then from there to Methodist Boys High School, Broad Street, Lagos.
Okay, so you're in Lagos through and through.
I'm a Lagosian. In fact, if not now that maybe the president will not allow an Igbo man to contest for the governorship of Lagos, I will have been eligible to contest for the governorship of Lagos.
I want to actually put in that because I want to ask you about that, but I also want to ask, do you speak Russian?
I do.
You speak Russian?
Yes, I studied in Russia.
You went to Kyiv University, right?
I went to Kyiv State University. That's where I did my master's.
International relations?
In international relations, yes. I did my master's in international relations. But before then, you go through a 1-year language program. And I will recall, at the risk of being immodest, correcting my Russian language teacher in 6 months, that she was not giving us the rudiments of Russian language.
Really?
And she got angry with me, got very angry with me, and rusticated me, so to speak. But, then after a week or so, she came back and asked me if I had studied Russian language before coming to Voronezh State University. I said no, but I said, from the way you were teaching, and that's why any language you want to teach me now, it won't take me 1 month. I will be an expert in it.
How many do you speak?
I speak Russian language, I speak French, I speak Yoruba, I speak Igbo. I won't say I speak, but then in German language, yes, I speak a bit of German language.
Really?
Yes.
And you started your career in the Foreign Office. So you started your career in England, I believe, as an was it a external affairs officer in England?
No, you cannot start from there. If I started from there, then I would be local staff. I started my career in the civil service as a civil servant.
Okay.
There's a difference between civil service and public service. So
yes.
As a civil servant, I started as a stores examiner in the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing.
Stores examiner.
Stores examiner.
What does that entail?
Stores, just like stores auditing. You audit stores, of the federal ministry.
Okay.
And the We were at Ijora in those days. We were at Ijora, very close to, you probably will not know what I'm talking about, ECN, you know.
What ECN?
ECN was NEPA.
Oh.
That was the grandfather of NEPA
Oh, I see.
in those days, you know. So I started from there as a stores examiner, grade 3. Then it was from there I now went to the Soviet Union, then not Russia now. The Soviet Union in 1970 on federal government scholarship. That is Bureau, I think it was called Bureau de Change. No, not Bureau de Change. Bureau of External Affairs, something. Bureau of...
So you got a federal government scholarship to
Federal
study
government
in the
scholarship to
Soviet
study in
Union.
the Soviet Union.
Why did you intentionally pick the Soviet Union, or you just applied for the scholarships that were available?
I'm sure, you know, I see you as a very intelligent journalist. You know, I did mention earlier that my father, you know, was a locomotive driver. So you will imagine that he didn't have that, what it took to send a son, a brilliant son, into the university. I left on 1st of September 1970 to Moscow, and by 1976 I graduated with a master's degree.
That's actually incredible. So you go from the son of a locomotive worker, or driver, like you said, to the Senate president of the country. And part of that is because the federal government helped sponsor your education. Do you think that trajectory that you had, because I believe you're also an LG chairman, you worked in both England and Chad, you were in House of Reps in the Third Republic. Do you think that trajectory is possible in today's Nigeria?
That's a very dicey question. It's the leadership. The leadership. Then there was good leadership. There was transparency. There was transparency. And like I said, tribalism was not there as such.
Really, even after the war?
Huh?
Even after the war, you felt like
No,
tribalism?
you're talking of my life started before the war. I mean, well, after the war, yes, fine. You know, so things started happening because the Gowon said there was no victor, no vanquished. But indeed, there was victor and there was vanquished.
The so-called rising sun of Biafra is set forever. It will be a great disservice for anyone to continue to use the word Biafra to refer to any part of the East Central state of Nigeria. The tragic chapter of violence is just ended. We are at the dawn of national reconciliation. Once again, we have an opportunity to build a new nation.
You know, I don't want to go into that as an elder statesman. You know, we're talking of restructuring. We just pray that we'll be sincere with the whole idea of restructuring.
I want to say, because, you know, in your My People, Oh My People speech, you said something about 6 years rotational, 6-year term, fixed term for president or governor, instead of the available 2 terms of 4 years. And you spoke about the need for it to rotate, and so that for equity and fairness, a president will come from every region in the country. That was nearly 20 years ago now.
Mr. President, and they also mentioned, just like Senator Ekwueme did, that the retirement age of any elected executive office holder should be 70 years. And I think I agree with that. I agree with that. You know, so that with this, children born same day in each of the 6 geopolitical zones, if we agree, of our country, would have the benefit of seeing 2 presidents emerge from their individual zones in their lifetime, as if God allows them to live for 72 years. And this is a far cry from the 12 years per zone being, 12 years per zone being proposed. So if if Mr. President, I don't know, you are very busy, I don't think you can make babies now anymore. But if you make a baby now, your son or your child will live to see two presidents emerge from the zone during his or her lifetime. And I think that is what we need in this country.
I saw somewhere that you were quoted as saying that you don't believe you see an able president in your lifetime. Is that how you feel now? Versus like how you felt then on the Senate floor talking about, because right now in House of Reps there's a bill for what you spoke about nearly 20 years ago, a 1-term 6-year fixed term for a president or a governor, but particularly for the presidency. Do you still believe that you might not see an able president in your lifetime?
Of course, yes. I don't think. I understand the politics of Nigeria. I understand the politics, but we will fight. If you listen to Barack Obama, he said, if you want democracy to win, we must fight for it, and that is what we are doing. I'm 76 years old. I'm 76 years old. And frankly, I'm an Igbo man. I'm an Igbo man. Most of my friends are Yorubas. My confidants, my very good friends are Yorubas. Even my younger brother, Mark Wabara, worked with the president, Tinubu, in Mobile. So when we were brought up and we were growing up, we didn't even know that we were Igbos. Just like General Ike Nwachukwu and what have you. We didn't know we were Igbos. We saw ourselves as Nigerians. And, the Yorubas, saw us as those, people that they can, handle and deal with. So, but in direct answer to your question, at 76, and going by what you referred to, yes, it's true. It was part of my, my people speech, in the Senate, that there should be 6 years, 1 term. And I remember Ken Namani then asking me, why are you being mathematical about this? I said, well, so that, it will go around, and whether anybody likes it or not, it will get to the Igbo man.
You said that it will start in 2015.
See?
And everybody burst out laughing. But why did you choose 2015?
I chose 2015 so that it will get to the Igbo man, very quickly, without any rancor. But you will recall that any time this presidency is getting to, my people, there is always, people start theorizing, fighting, and causing all kinds of problems to scuttle. So we begin to ask ourselves: are we really wanted in this nation called Nigeria? So, but if I thank the 35 members of the House of Reps who raised it up again. I hope they'll be able to push it through. Then we will quietly and patiently wait until it gets to us. But we believe in Nigeria. We believe in it. But then other Nigerians want to push us out of Nigeria. So if they don't want us, let them push us out.
No, I don't agree. I come from a minority tribe, so every time this conversation happens, I don't feel like I'm included. I don't feel like, I believe people cannot say when it's my turn. Right? So I always find that very interesting when we talk about equity in Nigeria. It always feels like it's equity for the big three for Wazobia. But there definitely is a case to be made that there has not been a president from the Southeast. And you said before that you're a Lagos boy. How did you feel about the last elections in Lagos and the tribal sentiments that came up, particularly in the gubernatorial elections? Especially,
Yeah, but it shows that the Igbos are Nigerians. That's what it shows, that in every state or every community in this country called Nigeria, after the indigenous, indigens, the next populous indigens are Igbos. Anywhere they're Igbos, and that is why it's even difficult. I don't want to say it so that I can go back home and be safe. I would advise those in leadership and Nigerians that they should please accommodate us, because we are true Nigerians. We don't believe in Igboism as such. But when you push us to the wall, then of course, you see, when you now drum, when you beat the drum for too long, the drum will tell you the skin that it's made of. So that's why we are Igbos. But it's because of the way we are being treated, in this country. And I think I'm old enough to talk about the story, about the history of ethnic groups.
Have you written a book yet? Because I didn't.
I have not written a book. My book is going to come out, maybe, I don't know, possibly posthumously. I'm 76, so anything can happen. My very good friend that's 60-something died recently. So you can go in at this age and you don't wake up. So there's nothing you can do about it. But we'll continue to pray to God for good health. And
Amen to that. Before, in that same speech, you said that you thought that the retirement age should be 70. Do you still believe that?
yes, because that is why we're having problems now.
Is that why the president dobaled?
Huh?
Is that why the president dobaled, because he's over 70?
Yes, so because, you see, our colonial masters, bad as they were, had good reasons to in the civil service rules. Like I said, I was a civil servant. Say, at a particular, it's either you go, you retire at 60. I think it was 60 those days or something. So
Yeah.
it's for people like you to, it's for
To
people like you to fill the vacuum.
Yeah.
By the time you find today that even at 70, 80, people like us are still looking for
Position?
positions.
Yes.
So when will our children and grandchildren now come and take over?
Do you have this conversation with your fellow leaders? Because you are the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the PDP.
I'm the chairman of the Board of Trustees of PDP, thanks to the PDP and our leaders there.
And you supported Atiku Abubakar in the last elections.
Yes, because he was our candidate. I mean, Atiku Abubakar was the candidate, and I'm a party faithful.
You're very loyal. You haven't switched.
I will never switch.
Why do you think others switch and you have not? Because even when you had problems with Obasanjo and you spoke about maybe internal party pressure, you never left.
You see, first thing, first and foremost, most of those that are switching parties, whether it's from APC, then APC to PDP or PDP, personal interest. Most of them have committed one thing or the other, and they are looking for protection. And it was very clear under Buhari administration that if you crossed over from PDP to APC, your sins are forgiven. And that's what is happening now too. People are moving from this thing. And if those of us who have not moved and who probably will not move, we don't have anything to. If they find anything against us, let them prosecute us, just as I was prosecuted.
For 14 years.
For 14 whole years, to 2005. But the joy is that it is my party that did that. That means we were fighting corruption. That means we were fighting. I mean, if they could deal with me, you know, and for a whole 14 years, that means we were genuinely fighting corruption. But we didn't. I mean, a former number 3 citizen, you know, I was being accused of 10 million. I mean, my own share of that was 10 million. It was supposed to be 10 million, and I didn't go to anybody. I didn't go to any judge. I didn't go to the judiciary. I was there on my own and my God. My God, you know, I am innocent. You know, if I am innocent, please free me. It took my God 14 whole years of my life. I was very quiet. People were asking, where is this man? No, we don't hear about him anymore. Until I got, until I got
Acquitted.
acquitted, discharged and acquitted. And that's why I was saying, you know, if you don't have anything, my people say, if you are not carrying anything, you don't have anything to, you know, to break when you are throwing what you have on your head. So,
But,
I mean,
you see, before your trials, I want to ask why you decided to throw your hat in the race for Senate President, because under President Obasanjo, there were, I believe, 5 Senate presidents. You were the 4th.
yeah.
And the Senate President right before you was Senator Anium Pius Anium, who I believe had part of his house torn down in Abuja after his, I would say, differences with other people in power. They said that it was contravening the Abuja master plan. And before him, you had Senator Okibo, who there was a siege on his house, I believe, to try and get the mace back from Okibo.
Okadibo.
Sorry, Okadibo.
Yes,
Chuba Okadibo.
Yeah.
Who they were trying to get the mace from him using police force.
Yeah.
It did not seem like leading up to your time as Senate President, anyone had been there peacefully or anyone had enjoyed their term. So why did you still want to be Senate President knowing these risks?
Well, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I want Nigerians to know. I'm not even sure it's part of my book. I want Nigerians to know that I would have been the first Senate President in 1999 before distinguished Senator Evans Ekwueme. And I'm sure that those leaders that were around then, some of them are still alive today, I would have been. And of course, I didn't know anything. You know, I mean, you see, my middle name is Ndunewe. Ndunewe. In Igbo, that is a name, Ndu, a life of envy. Most of the things that have happened in my life, I didn't have any control over them. In 1999, in June, when the issue of the Senate presidency arose, I was to be the Senate president. The late Ekwueme, Dr. Alex Ekwueme, of blessed memory, our father and leader and founder of PDP, approached me. I remember it was my birthday usually is 1st of June, and the Senate president then in 1999 emerged on the 3rd of June. We were all senators elect. You know? I mean, I was in my room. My late wife came in from New York to mark my birthday before the inauguration of the Senate. I recall I was somewhere in Nikon. We were all in Nikon, up there was somewhere in Nikon. And she just arrived, and of course, you know what I'm talking about, I won't say it, around 3 a.m., I was still with my wife. Then she just came back. Then a phone call. There was a phone call. I picked the call. Is this Adolph Wabara? I said, yes, this is Adolph Wabara. Can I see you? I said, who is this? Meanwhile, I excused myself. Then I said, who is this? He said, can I see you now? I said, but do you know what time it is? He said, I want to see you now. The voice was very assertive. I said, can't it wait till tomorrow? I want to see you now. I said, okay, so where do I? He said, come to room 419. That was in Nikon. A suite 419. I said, but who am I talking? He said, you are talking, this is Dr. Alex Ekwueme. I never met him before in my life, but the name, I told my wife, I pushed her aside. I said, please, I have to move now. This Dr. Alex Ekwueme. I said, okay, I'm coming, sir. I now changed and wore, then I used to wear white, I used to wear white brocade, starched stuff. So I just put on my white.
At 3 a.m.
Yes, but I remember I can't remember my room number, but I remember his room number because it's 419. But I knew I was upstairs somewhere. Then I came down in the lift, came to suite 419, rang the bell. Then somebody, a very top politician, opened the door. You
don't want to say who?
I can't remember his name, but if I describe him, most of our Igbo brothers will remember. He's they call him one. He was one time the what do they call this parties now? He was now the of PDP in either Anambra or Enugu. He was the
party chair.
State party chairman. Was the state party chairman, but caretaker. Okay. Caretaker chairman, yes. Okay. Of a fat guy with always like. Well, I don't want to use that word. He was on television, native doctor or something like that. He was always like that, But his name, they probably know who I'm talking about. He was the one who opened the door in Ekweme's suite. And I came in that 3 a.m. At that time, that 3 a.m., this great leader was gulping, he held his plate, gulping rice. 3 a.m., which meant that he just came back from a meeting. And as he didn't know me, I didn't know him. As he was eating the rice, I could see him through his glasses looking at, who is this guy? Is this the guy? Then he finished, he said, are you Adolph Wabara? I said, yes, sir. You're Adolph Wabara, you are from where? I told him, he said, have you been to the Senate President's office? I said, no, I don't know where the Senate President's office is. He said, you mean you've not been to the Senate President's office? I said, no, I don't know where it is. We're waiting for the inauguration. This man, this great man, now said, tomorrow, and we're talking of the third now. This is the third morning. Third morning. He said, you are going to be the Senate President. I said, how, sir? How can I know? Why would I? He said, no, that they told me the story, which maybe it will be in my book.
You want to give us a little bit of
that he was offered the position, he gave it to late Senator Onyabo Obi, which did not fly, and then they now asked him to, and he could not be the Senate president because he didn't contest any election, and the person he wanted to be in the person of Senator Onyabo Obi late, didn't have the opportunity because one senator who was there would not resign for him to contest, So they now went through the whole 15 of us
From the Southeast.
and he found that I could be. That's why he invited. I said, really? I said, really? I said, thank you very much, sir. Then he said, I should go and get my CV. Do I have a CV? I said, yes. It took me 1 second to fly from that floor to my... I rushed up and told my wife, I said, do you know what? I'm going to be the Senate president. So she said, what? She didn't even understand what was happening. She said, who could be calling you? Because this American said, who could be calling you at this? I said, please, this is not time for that. I just went and collected my CV and rushed down in a jiffy and gave to him. And of course, we're looking at this. Oh, you mean you are this type of? Are you sure? I said, yes, that is me. He said, okay, see me by 8 o'clock in the morning. We're talking of from 3:30, 4 that morning, 8 o'clock, and I was a Senate president between that 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock when I was denied. Honestly, I was,
You're on top of the world.
I was on top of the world, the late Senator Ibrahim Mantu, they were the guys then, Senator, Adawari Pepo. I don't want to mention those, I don't want to even mention, what's his name again? He wasn't a senator, but he was a power broker from the East. It's old age.
That's why you have to write the book, though.
So they were all within these few hours. That it was through what my leader and my Igbo father told me that I would be. But then before we got to Solomon La at Sheraton Hotel by 8 o'clock in the morning, Mr. Fix-It, your brother, Tony Aneni, had changed everything. Then he told Obasanjo, I said, listen, if you want Evans and Wenham to be your Senate president, I will fix it, But the story is for another day. And the reason is because Tony Aneni of blessed memory, that was a family issue.
Between you and him?
Between my in-laws and him.
I see.
That is for another day.
I see.
So then he did everything to make sure I did not emerge, convinced Obasanjo that I should not be.
And Senator Evans became the shortest Senate president we've had today. And
Senator Evans and Warren now became the Senate president.
I think he has the shortest tenure still to date.
Yes, because of the scandal. You see, this thing, the banana peels started from him. And I also had banana peels. I fell for it. And, but then, we thank God. But I have my respect for Senator Evans and Warren. I didn't vote. You talked about Chubo Kadibo. I voted for Chubo Kadibo.
Okay.
I didn't vote for Senator Evans and Warren. And when it was time to constitute the committees, Senator Evans and Warren knew that I did not vote for him. We were voting alphabetically.
I see.
And my name, I was about the last, Wabara, W. So So when they and I knew that Evans Ekwueme was already winning.
But you still didn't want to vote for him.
Yeah, no, I didn't know because of course,
they had scuttled your own ambition.
Yes, but that wasn't even the. But I knew that Okadibo was the best.
I see.
I was the best for that position.
I see. So you supported him.
It was the best position. I mean, I didn't go for it, but they were trying to push me politically. Yeah. So, but then I now voted. When we were taking count, Evans Ekwueme was leading Okadibo because of government influence, the executive influence. So when it got to me, well, it was myself, Wabara, Waku, Zwengina, and just 3 or 4 left. Evans Ekwueme was there. When they called my name, Wabara, Adolphus Wabara, I said Chuba Okadibo. In fact, I could see your colleagues, in the gallery, coming out to say, "Who is this foolish senator?"
So you stand on what you believe. You stand on what you believe. Regardless of the consequences, you stand on what you believe.
And I want to thank Evans Ekwueme in his grave. When he was constituting the committees, he gave me the most powerful committee. Defense. He gave me then it's not now that they balkanized and divided defense into all kinds of things. Then defense was defense. Navy, Army, Air Force, defense headquarters. He made me. I was shocked when he announced my name. I was shocked, and that is why today and up till tomorrow, Evans Ekwueme remains mature.
That's fantastic. I want to ask something, but this might be a bit personal because you mentioned your wife who's late, and also that night and the excitement of that night. How was it like having her as your partner to support you through your growth? Because I believe you met in London, right, when you were still. Is that correct? Yes. You met in London when you were working for an
have heard a lot of news. I mean, did you research on my person?
Yes, I did. So you met in London.
Yes.
And so how was that journey? Especially, politics in Nigeria, the exposure, the strain on family. How was that?
My wife, Felicia, is a wife, a woman, every man, or a character every wife should be. And yes, I met her in London when I was in the High Commission. She was also working as a local staff in the High Commission, 9 Northumberland Avenue. Well, let me just end up by saying she was very religious. She was a true Christian. And I miss her up to today. You recall when you came in here, when you came in here, I miss her. And I'm begging God to please unite me with her when it is my time to go. I don't want to challenge God to say he should. But she was there, when this whole problem started, the scandal by the president then.
As Obasanjo.
Olusegun Obasanjo, who went on national television to accuse me of corruption. There was a national broadcast. National broadcast. And then I stood my ground. And held. He wanted me out immediately, but I stood my ground. As of course I was head of an arm of government.
Yes.
I think for about 2 weeks, the Senate, the National Assembly was, or maybe the Senate, was closed. Then I made up my mind to resign, to face because you cannot fight government. I want to advise politicians, you can't fight government.
That sounds like a very sad thing.
So I now said I was going to resign on my own terms, not a question of me being forced to resign, no. Because I knew I was innocent. Even my very good friend, who was then the NSA, I think it was NSA, Nohuri Badu, knew I was innocent. I hope he will listen to what I'm saying now.
He's NSA now. He was EFCC then.
Okay, he was EFCC then.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. But my people say there is nothing that cannot be used to chase a fowl away. So they used all kinds of things to. I said, fine. I didn't know I was not born a Senate president. So I didn't even know how I became a Senate president. I just told you its trajectory. So why should I sit down there and start fighting for a position that when you look back as politicians, you look back those who are singing your praises. Before you know what is happening, you will not find them again. And once, I was too old then to know that it was, you couldn't fight,
government, so the president.
You couldn't fight government. So, I resigned. And the reason why all that happened was because of third term. It was because of third term, because I was approached. I don't want to, thank God we made.
There's an allegation that I believe you've made or has been made that you said that you turned down a 250 million naira bribe.
That's very correct.
To support the third term agenda.
That is very correct.
You still stand by that? You turned down a 250 million naira bribe.
Yes. The money came to me. I don't want to embarrass certain people. Came to me by 1:30 a.m. before my third term speech.
Really?
Yeah. And it came in a sparkling G-Wagon.
You're telling me they put 250 million naira in cash?
How much is 250 million? It comes with central bank something. Central bank is something that you have with it.
Sammy, I've never seen 250 million naira in cash. You're telling me there was 250 million naira cash put in a G-Wagon and driven to you at 1:30 a.m.
G-Wagon, black G-Wagon. I can still.
You can still see it.
And a rickety 504 station wagon.
Wow.
Yes. It came and the money was discharged. Then my wife was still alive then. Then
Is it her that told you not to take it? What stopped you from taking it? What stopped you?
No, in the first place, you see, don't forget that I studied in the Soviet Union. And these things called money, corruption, we were not trained like that. We believed in communism.
So you believed in communism?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe in communism any day. So even up to now that we speak.
Really? Communism or socialism? Or you mean communism itself? Like
communism. We were trained, we were trained to be communists, and communists, and we're practicing communists. Just like you say, you're a practicing Christian, where you don't allow your fellow human being to suffer unnecessarily.
Okay.
And it has been like, and that's why what is that? That was even the main reason why I saw if I was a capitalist, 250 million, then, oh my God, I would have admitted.
How much was dollar?
I would have admitted the money. I was peeping through my window. My wife then, it was someone say, see. I don't want to mention names.
But you know the person who brought it.
We know the person, and I know where they took it to.
Oh,
waiting for me. Yes,
okay.
they took, yes.
Okay.
If I go further from your investigative journalism, I will let the cat out of the bag. I don't want to do that.
I want you to, but I'll allow you not to do it. But are you sure you don't want to give us a hint?
No, I wouldn't, because I will embarrass certain gentlemen. Yes, I will embarrass.
Don't they deserve to be embarrassed?
No, they don't deserve to be embarrassed.
They were just doing somebody else's
because
bidding?
I tricked them into.
Oh, I see.
Yes, because there was a call around 10 midnight. I was trying to know whether then when they were saying they were distributing 50 million per senator, I didn't believe it. So this person now negotiated that, well, as a former Senate president, and that I had supporters that if they brought that to 250 million to me, that I will, that will scuttle all this third term thing, and Obasanjo will emerge the president.
Yeah.
So that was why they now, within 2 hours, the money was brought.
Wow. Within 2 hours?
Within 2 hours, the money was brought.
2 hours, 250 million naira.
Yes. Well, CBN, these steel boxes. I saw it. It didn't come to me directly, but I was seeing. Then the person now called me. The person now called me and said, the money is here. I said, come on. I said, you know what? I don't want to. I said, please, I don't, this money coming from the source this money is coming from. Maybe they will arrest me again to say that I am. So let them take this money and bring it back. And bring it back by 8 a.m. or 7 a.m., by which time I will know how to distribute the money. This is what I told the person on the phone. I said, so that I will know how to distribute this money, or safeguard, the money, so that nobody will come and, if this money sleeps with me in my house this night, I can be arrested again for,
But you were also smiling
and took my seat. And took my seat as a senator. Yeah.
You were also smiling when you gave that speech, my people speech. You were smiling. It seemed like you were enjoying it. Now I'm wondering if you were enjoying it because you had seen the steel boxes of cash earlier that day, or because you just knew it was going to fail and it was an important moment.
No, I knew it was going to fail. I knew it was going to fail. And two, I don't forget, those of us who were trained, who studied in the Soviet Union in those days, who were rugged. No, forget about these things you're talking about. We were not cultists, but we knew what society was, what a nation was, and that corruption was the bane of any development. So I was just smiling. We knew. I knew that it was going to fail. Whether and of course Nnamani also knew that it was going to fail. And when I applied to him surreptitiously to please allow me speak last, because I knew if David Mark had spoken last, it would have been a different ball game.
Because he was in support.
Yes, I wouldn't know. Yeah, it's coming from you. So it was just. I think God loves Nigeria. God loves Nigeria.
There's been talk of the 5 Senate presidents under Obasanjo. There's been talk of the money flowing through Senate, even from yourself. Do you believe that the National Assembly now or the Senate now functions differently? Do you believe that they are a separate but equal, powerful arm of government, current Senate?
See, the unfortunate thing is that during our time, you say 5 Senate presidents, it's because it was zoned to the southeast.
Yes.
That is why, somehow we had 5 Senate presidents from the southeast, one after the other. The fact that we had 5 senators, does not suggest that Igbos cannot, do not respect themselves or cannot support themselves. No, all that happened. All that happened was external politics. I told you about Evan when your brother Tony Aneni came up and convinced the president that you are the president. If you are the president, you must be the president. Then, Evan Ewenem came up. And Evan Ewenem now, came up with the problem of whether he went to jail for whatever, somewhere in London or something, the man that put him there, that's Obasanjo, couldn't save him. He was impeached. So all these things, not from us, not from the Igbos. Then Okadibo now came up. Oh, there was an issue. There was an issue of contract.
Yes.
There was issue of contract, and of course, you will know that at that point in time, Obasanjo didn't want Okadibo. And if an Okadibo should have been the original, the foremost Senate president. If Okadibo had been allowed, if the Senate had been allowed to elect Okadibo before Evan Ewenem, we wouldn't have all these problems we're having in the Senate today because he was the popular candidate. But because of some political issues that most of us didn't know, Obasanjo didn't want him, and everything went on and until he was removed.
I want to actually ask you a question. I want to relate that because I spoke on the show to former Senate President Senator Bukola Saraki, Dr. Saraki, and he spoke about Buhari not wanting him and the machinations and but he was a popular candidate of the Senate, and he was able to win. How do you think that the Senate has changed, or the nature of the game has changed, or do you just think that Saraki was able to just go ahead? Because you've said multiple times you can't defeat the government, you can't win, right? Ultimately, but he was able to emerge, and he was not the president's choice or the choice of certain people in power. How do you think?
You see, the thing is, the Senate, the National Assembly, should be allowed, and it's almost impossible, should be allowed to, to elect their leaders. Should be allowed to elect their leaders. That's why you still have the same thing is happening, now, down the line. And in so doing, the National Assembly should have a first line charge so that they will not depend on any president for their funding. If you recall, there was a recent write-up, a piece. There was a piece by one journalist from Tribune who now picked me and Saraki. We were not. Obasanjo didn't honor me with my GCON. And Buhari did not honor Saraki with GCON. We will fall in the same problem. Just because we did not support them. Saraki did not support Saraki. Saraki did not support Buhari. I did not support Obasanjo for his third term. But Nigerians will say that but that is the truth of the matter.
Does that still pain you, the GCON?
Does it what?
Does it pain you that they withheld the GCON?
It's my right, but even posthumously, I know that a president will emerge one day in this country and will see the truth. Because without at the risk of being immodest, for crying out loud, without people like us, there won't be democracy now. Yes, if we have supported third term, we'll have had dictatorship, tyranny, and people like Buhari won't have emerged. Even the present Tinubu wouldn't have emerged because Obasanjo would have still been there. He would have still been there, so we sacrificed. So that alone, my third term speech should even end me without going to the stories of what happened. And also end, Saraki, whatever we fought, and if we died, we will have died for democracy. So is this how they will have, so I believe that posthumously, that one day,
You'll be awarded.
one day they will confirm, although somebody like Ben Obi said, address him as GCON. One will come to our party and address as GCON because they know what I did, to really ensure that there is democracy. I sacrificed my life, and thank God I was not killed, because one can be killed in this business of politics.
I thought that the business of killing stopped a while ago.
No, it doesn't stop, even in advanced democracies.
True. Even in Russia.
Oh, see what I mean? Oh, see?
Well, I don't know if I would call that an advanced democracy, but even in Russia, the business of killing.
It is advanced. What are you
It's
talking about?
an advanced country, but is it an advanced democracy?
It is still an advanced democracy. Is the way you take it. So if we allow what is happening in Nigeria as democracy, then it's our fault. It's our fault.
Speaking of democracy, especially when we talk about speaking about federalism, we're speaking about rotation. The current Senate president wore to plenary. He wore the logo of the president, the bat logo, the infinity logo that Tinubu wears, right? As his insignia on his logo. What do you think that? Do you think that's a positive message?
I mean, you don't even need to ask that question because you have the answer to it. I've just told you that we should fight. We should fight for democracy to win. According to Obama, we must fight for it. A situation where the president is the one who dictates who is the Senate president. If he doesn't wear that insignia, then he will lose his job. But then. In fact, the electorates also have a role to play. The electorates have a role to play. Stomach, infrastructure, and problems, the electorates are the most powerful in any democracy.
How would you advise the electorates to hone in their power? Because a lot of people do feel disenfranchised or weakened by the system, whether they don't trust INEC, whether they don't trust the judiciary, whether they don't have faith in the executive arm of government.
I know that hunger misdirects. Hunger misdirects. My people say a goat, a goat, when you're pulling a goat, when you're having leaves or whatever the goat eats, you are the person the goat will continue to follow. That is what is happening in our democracy today because of hunger. So the elders and the politicians, those in government, are not creating the enabling environment to eschew hunger. It's a deliberate act to continue to make the electorates hungry so that they will continue to follow sheepishly, so that stomach, infrastructure first, before they start thinking of whether we're being led aright or not. So if we're unable to establish, manufacturing companies, an economy that, does not have a job, one job, being serviced by one manufacturing job, being serviced by 3 shifts. In those days when we were growing up, what's her name again?
Adesuwa.
When we were growing up, we grew up in this face me and face you house. Oh, Papa Adesuwa, Mama this. You wake up for a whole week, you probably will not find Papa Adesuwa in the house because he's on night duty. The other time you will not find Papa Onyema because he's on afternoon duty. What does that say? That is a very sound economy. That means there is manufacturing. So one job, when you ask them what are they doing, they are either boiler men, they are either boiler managers or boiler men. So they do shifts. An economy that has not risen to shift work. One work, 3 people are doing it, for 24 hours. Then you've not arrived. But in Nigeria, 2 o'clock, everybody has gone to sleep. Because there is no shift. That means
There's no light.
There's no light.
There's
that means
no
we don't have an
work.
economy. So by the time, if we have that, then you find people, if we have one job being manned by 3 people, morning 8 hours, the other one under 8 hours, then they will continue to go after politicians for money.
Because there's nowhere else to get it. So someone who has spoken about we need a productive economy and not an economy based on consumption is the former governor of Anambra and the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. Now, obviously, as
Is he Labour Party or APGA?
The Labour Party now. He was originally APGA, then he was PDP, then he was Labour Party.
Who?
Peter Obi.
Peter Obi.
Yes.
I was getting Soludo. Yeah.
Soludo, yes.
Okay.
Actually, I like that you bring up Soludo because I want to ask you about what Soludo said about Peter Obi's run for president in the last election. And he said something similar to, I think, something you've said before, but something I know that Osita Chidoka has also said, that in order for there to be a pathway to the presidency for Igbo people, it needs to be through one of the main 2 parties, either APC or the PDP. And Soludo did have a thread, a message that he put out online, he put out on Twitter in response to Peter Obi's ambition, saying that he felt that Peter Obi creating a 3rd force was going to scuttle an Igbo presidency coming up soon. And you had also said that you believe that an Atiku presidency might be a clearer path to an Igbo presidency because after it rotated to the northeast, it should rotate to the southeast. Those are 2 regions that have not produced a president, right? Do you agree a bit? Did you see what Soludo said about Peter Obi? Do you agree that his run in 2023 was more harmful for the actualization or realization of an Igbo presidency? Or do you believe that he's possibly going to be the first Igbo president we get in Nigeria?
I'm an Igbo man. And a true Igbo man at that. An Igbo man cannot be president of Nigeria all by himself. And as a matter of fact, there is no zone or region in Nigeria that can produce the presidency all by itself. We must achieve that in synergy with either the Southwest or the North, Northwest, or whatever. Even in the South, we the Igbos are being discredited. Is it with the South-South? South-South, our South-South brothers that we should ordinarily, rely on. They don't want us. And that makes me feel that the obedient something was a movement. Was a movement of youths here and there, but not coordinated. And that gave an impression that an Igbo man could make it. But then, that movement, that obedient movement, was personalized because it was on a person. Those who were the youths then were not interested in whether this man was Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, or whatever. But like we say in those days in Biafra, Abachoso Agomile, after running to safety, then you now look back and say, how many miles did I run? So after all this, you say, who is this Ubi? Then people now started saying, he's an Igbo man. But Nigerians loved him as a person. But to translate that to politics and voting is a different thing. So to me, I feel that we should, as Igbos, this 6 years term or whatever, we must negotiate. We have not been forgiven for what we did not, cause. The Biafran War. It wasn't our fault. But the propaganda is that, the Igbos cannot be trusted. And it has, people believe that. And that is why we are not trusted. So we need an endorsement from the other zones to say, if Nigeria should be Nigeria, the Igbos are part of us. Please, let's give them this chance. But if we say we are going to think it's our right, well, if anybody wants to eliminate me, now let the person come. At 76, I say, thank God, we will not achieve it. So we will have to cool down, calm down, and let people trust us. But I believe in one thing. I believe in one thing, that it is an Igbo president. It's an Igbo president. Whenever that will be, that will calm down the tension in Nigeria. You know why? If an Igbo president emerges, if you go to Tinubu's office now, you hear, Ngbati, like we say, Bawo Nikan, this, that. Buhari was there, Menini, this. But you go, when an Igbo president is there, you go there and say, Kedo, he will tell him, please, I'm not here for Igbo, I'm here for Nigeria, speak English. That is what you can quote me at any time that will be, I will have been gone. That is what, and that is when you know that Nigeria has come to stay.
Was Obasanjo like that? People do say that he was quiet.
Quiet, but I speak Yoruba too. I can't even remember. I'm just, it's okay, but but I'm just telling you that this, and then we can then juxtapose that to what is happening. When Buhari was there, Nigeria was Fulanized. I don't want to say Hausanized, because even the Hausas in the north were now our guy has come there now. Everything is Yorubanized.
Awalokon.
I know, in Awalokon, and all those things. So, but when an Igbo man is there, even these Igbos craving to become president, they will be begging him, please give us a job. But he will do it respecting the federal character of the Constitution.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, sir. I think that's a good place to end it. I've taken a lot of your time. Thank you so much for speaking with me about your life and about your communism and your time in the Senate, and also how you see Nigeria and Nigeria's future. You think there's hope for us?
Yes, of course there is hope. We're passing through a phase. Even this corruption thing, we are passing through a phase. If I'm happy you researched about me, and if you research about America and their leaders, you'll find out that what we are passing through today the corruption, they passed through all those things, and then established, their families now are established. Even Trump, the father was a criminal, a corrupt, but today he's the president, if you talk of Jimmy Carter, they were all, so it is the face. So all these things happening now, they are establishing a future for their great grandchildren in terms of companies and manufacturing companies and organizations. That's why you have Qatar. I can't remember one or two companies of this, but if you trace their history, they either were very corrupt. Their great parents, yes, but now they are clean. So this is the phase we are going through.
We're going through our corrupt phase.
We are going through our corrupt phase, and at the fullness of time, the corrupt money will establish families, and businesses, in
How
the
many
future.
Nigerians will lose out in that journey? People are literally dying of hunger.
Yeah, people are dying of hunger. It's a phase. It's a phase, and that's why I was so happy the way the president, alluded to what happened to him yesterday, that he prostrated in the Yoruba way for democracy. And let's wait and see him again. Probably he would, that would be, an answer to the future of Nigeria.
Okay, this would be my last question, actually, because
Yes.
I haven't asked you about the PDP, really, or the PDP's future, and you're the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the PDP. A lot of people say that PDP has left opposition work, that one of the higher ranking members of this current administration is the Minister, Nyesom Wike, Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike, who's a member of the PDP, that the PDP's internal battles, whether it be River State, whether it be Adamawa, that the PDP's battles have really handicapped the party, and the party is not doing good opposition work. Do you think that that's a fair conclusion? Is the PDP injured?
Well, PDP is the greatest party in Nigeria and in Africa. Therefore, there is that tendency to destroy the party. We know that. And as chairman of the Board of Trustees and the conscience of this party, we will right the wrongs. Those who feel that we know those who are in the party and for what reasons they are still in the party. But the party will not be destroyed. Okay. PDP will never die. PDP will, in fact, those who have left, at the fullness of time, they will come back. By the time we will repair the party,
Okay.
we will do what it takes. It's not a one-man's job. But when you call a PDP meeting, you'll be shocked at the caliber of men and women who will, quietly attend, the meeting. We are for the people, and just as our name goes, the People's Democratic Party.
Okay.
We are for the people.
Okay.
And the people are for us. The people are for us. It's unfortunate what happened. I don't want to go into details of what happened the last time. We talked about Peter Obi. If he hadn't rushed out, if you combined his votes with that of Atiku Abubakar, all of PDP,
it was more than
we'll be smiling to Aso Rock now. But I think God, anything that happens is of God. God wants Nigerians to taste the good or the bad of APC. And then come 2027, they will know how to cast and protect their votes. and they will cast and protect their votes for PDP.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens in 2027.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Senator Wabara, for your time today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you so much.